I love psychological aspect of the costume. You can dig into somebody's head and create something unique.
Malgorzata is a Polish costume designer and stylist. She has dressed characters that go through extreme situations and some of the darkest hours of our history, like in Academy Award winner film The Zone of Interest. I'm delighted to have you on Profession Costumier today. Welcome.
Hello, welcome.
So my first question is actually about your early career. I was curious to know how you became a costume designer. What led you to this profession?
So I didn't know that I will become the costume designer, but there was something, specific when I was really young. But I always felt that I am some kind of interested in art and I am connected to the art. And first of all, I was thinking that I was always focused on the pictures and paintings. And I was thinking that I'm gonna be the photographer. So I put a lot of effort, to develop, photography and everything. But finally, I finished the studies, and it was linguistic, so totally different thing. And because of some few circumstances, maybe I was not so brave to go into art after the high school. I am thinking, but when I was studying linguistic, I went to Warsaw. I moved to Warsaw because I'm from small city close to the Belarusian border. So when I went to Warsaw, I started to meet people from the different industries, and then I met my friend who was a stylist, and because of him, everything started. I just, I was searching what I want to do in my life, typical teenager who doesn't want to, who didn't know what to do in the life. I just was focused on the art, and then I met him, and I mean, because of him, he asked me, "Oh, could you please help me do this commercial?" And I just started to help him, and finally it would just click like that, and I felt okay. I mean, I like it. I understand that there is something that it's become my passion. So it just started by the accident, but maybe there's no accident.
And so you started, you said, doing some stylism and also working for some commercials. And then you started also working for movies. And today I identified you worked on various films and also series. I identified 3 films I wanted to ask you about, but of course, feel free to also bring in other experiences. So the first movie I wanted to ask you about is called Essential Killing. And Essential Killing is a movie by Jerzy Skolimowski with Vincent Gayot. And I was curious about this experience. So the movie, for those who haven't seen it, is about an Afghan war prisoner that's played by Vincent Gayot, who attempts to escape. And it's directed by one of the most famous Polish directors, Jerzy Skolimowski, who's namely known for Depend and EO, for instance. So I was curious to know how you got involved on that project.
It's really nice that you asked me about this project. I was the assistant of Anne Hamre, really great costume designer from Norway. And it was the co-production, because sometimes it's happening, that the movies needs the co-producers from different countries. So the costume designer was from Norway. So she came to Poland, and the Polish production asked few people to work with her, and I was dedicated to her as a assistant, and it was something special. I was young, I was 23 or 24, and I was working, with Jerzy Skolimowski, which is really well known and great director. And I met Anna, and it was for me like a new experience from the beginning. I didn't know how to behave and how to work in this kind of movie, but I just felt that, okay, I will put everything, I will do everything to try my best. The fun story is that when I was in France, because I went to see the Paris Photo, a very famous song was Honey Bunny by Vincent Gallo. And now I was just listening during this Paris Photo, his song, and I thought, okay, you know what, I would love to meet him. And it was the wish that came true after a few years. It was amazing, because when I got the information that, okay, there will be the movie by Jerzy Skolimowski, fantastic director, and the main role will be the Vincent Gallo, I thought, how it's possible, that my some kind of dream came true. It is like, and it happened in France.
I'm really happy to hear, and indeed, it's a crazy coincidence. And something I was wondering about of the costume of this film is it because it's kind of a survival movie. The character goes into all the worst things like frozen water, snow, blood, and then I think there's a lot of impact of that on the costumes. So I was wondering how it was. Like, I guess there was a patina team. You had to have a lot of different versions of the same costume. Like, how did it go? Was it very complicated or not so much?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, this was really hard movie, and to be honest, we didn't have such a big team. So it was more like we were not, so big team, but the patina was really important. So, for example, from the technical side, to save and to help the actor playing in this kind of really tough environment, of course, we gave him a lot of special layers of the costume, special underwear to keep him, and he has special socks, which were the best socks in Europe, like that, to keep him warm. But there was also few scenes that we were shooting outside, and in fact, it was really strong winter. That time in Poland, it was like a -12 or -20. And there was a scene that they are playing, without the shoes, barefoot, and he did it like that. So that was it was really important to help to Vincent Gallo and to other actors and extras to survive in this really, really tough moment. But about patina, for example, he's playing in the white uniform. It's really a long part in the movie. Finally, we have 12 the same outfits, but with different stage of patina. And the last one, it was like the final scene. The last patina did Jerzy Skolimowski, because it was really, or maybe the structure of the patina he did, because he's the painter, really, great painter. And we were shooting we were shooting because, as you know, that it's never like that shooting is that the movie is shooting directly scene by scene, but sometimes we are like jumping from other scene to other scene. And it happened that we should prepare the costume for one of the last scenes with this big patina. So I couldn't guess how it's gonna look like, because there was like a killing part. It was like he was like escaping. He was under the water, so it was really hard to guess. So then I just asked Jerzy, Mr. Jerzy, could you please predict how it's gonna look like? And he just I gave him the fake blood, and he just did like a fine first painting on his costume, which was more like a cross, maybe symbolic as well. And then it was the best to prepare the next costumes.
Wow, it's very interesting to hear. So then jumping to another movie you worked on, it's called Quo Vadis, Aida, done in 2020 by Jasmina Zbagnik. So the movie was awarded at Venice Film Festival, the TIFF also nominated at the Academy Awards. And the movie is set in 1995, and it follows a UN translator in Srebrenica during the Srebrenica massacre, where 8,000 people were killed during 1 month, the month of July. So again, I was curious of how you approach such a topic on a costume perspective.
So the story was that when I first saw the script was so great, so amazing, that I was just dreaming like that to work on the script. And somehow, no, the almost happened in 95. There's something that I remember from 95. I remember that I was, for example, going for the holidays with my parents to Greece by the car. And then we were on the way. My parents said, okay, but we cannot go through those countries. And I said, why? Because there is the war. And then how it's possible that the war is so close to, to Poland? How I am close and I am just passing by, the country where is the war? So there's some kind of memories that I had, and also from TVs and from my parents' conversations. But when I saw the script, then I started to do the research, and I found that there is a lot of archives, a lot of materials and articles and pictures from this war. So from one side, it was not so. If you have the base like that, then it's easy to recreate something. But still, the main idea was to be as much as close to reality. And Jasmila Zbanic and Christine Meyer, the DOP, they really wanted to shoot it more as a documentary movie, a little bit. So that's why there is a feeling that we were really close to the main character. But there was lots of course problems in the middle. There's always kind of issues how to get the costumes and how to do it.
And in terms of creating the costume, which approach also you mentioned that there were some budget constraints, as there's always. So did you use vintage clothes from that time? Did you create new ones, shopped it? How did you proceed?
So in this case, what I saw on the pictures that, it's this war was really colorful. It was like 95. It was in the middle of the summer. I saw lots of women, in the colorful costumes. There was really characteristic also costume named Dimie, which was typical for the women, Muslim women in that region. And then I thought, okay, so let's do this. Let's shot this war a little bit differently than all of the war that we know, because a lot of movies that were done about this topic are black and white or gray or very, really dramatic. And in this case, we really wanted to achieve the feeling that this war is really modern, that it can happen everywhere. So, and in fact, there was something that helped me because the 90s are quite popular now in the shops. So I found a lot of costumes and a lot of even plain t-shirts in the colors that I like. Sometimes it was more strongest colors, which are more like from 80s. So I did the base with costumes, with the t-shirts, sweaters, blouses from the shops. And then I started to do the deep research and to find the rest, which was quite interesting because in Bosnia, for example, a lot of people are keeping the costumes, and they are generally keeping the clothes, and they are keeping the things after the war. So some of the pieces I found in the basements of the people, some clothes for the main characters, which are original from 80s and 90s, I found in old markets. There is a lot of people who are selling all the time the things. So it was like I was really digging in the basement, digging in the really unexpected places to find the costumes, and it was really big base. And in general, we had something around like 5,000 extras. So that's why this base was really important to have. So we just tried with my great team. We were just trying our best to find all the pieces almost everywhere. And for example, I had a problem with the fabric for Ratko Mladic uniform. I couldn't find it, and Polish company which I asked to prepare the fabric, to design the fabric, did it, but it was not correct as I wanted to see, or it was not as I imagined that. And for example, I found this fabric in the attic of one barn in Serbia by accident. There was laying like 14 meters of original fabric that I had possibly there to suit the uniform. So there's a lot of coincidences and a lot of strange situations in Bosnia and Serbia.
Wow, it's amazing. It must have been a very big emotions when you found those authentic fabrics and clothes. It really sounds like an investigation as well.
Yeah, it was really like investigation, and I really would like to thank to my team who were really involved, and the team who were aging the costumes, because to age now even like 1,000, or maybe not 1,000, but let's say thousands of costumes. It was really big deal, but we tried our best.
And now moving on to one of your latest films, so Zone of Interest by Jonathan Glazer. So you created the costume for this Academy Award winner movie that follows the life of Auschwitz camp director and his family. And for those who haven't seen the movie, it's very, very special and powerful, and it focuses on the family life. And they have like a lovely home and garden next to the concentration camp. And we never go on the other side of the wall. So you really stay with that family so that just people can have a little bit of an idea of what the movie looks like. So first, how did you get on board of such a unique project?
So once again, it was a co-production between Poland and UK. And there was like a small competition of the casting for the costume designer, because the Jonathan Glazer, the director, is very well known director who really was working on this project for more than 6 years. He really wanted to work with somebody that he gonna trust, but it was not easy from the beginning, because when you are working in such a emotional topic, you really wanted to have a team that you feel that we're gonna follow your ideas. So it was a co-production. We had a couple of meetings, and finally, after second or third or fourth, we decided, okay, so we're gonna work together. So it was not easy, but it was not easy. But it's just co-production thing.
Congratulations then for winning, let's say, this this costume designer competition. And I was wondering if you could share a little bit of the discussions, because I guess there were so many discussions before shooting the movie with maybe the director and like the set decoration team, the camera operation team, the actors, about the costumes. So could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was really unique and specific project because of the method, and we were shooting simultaneously on 10 cameras, so there's like almost 360 degrees of visibility all the time. And what was the main idea of the Jonathan Glazer, like to really build, he just said, okay, let's create the world that we really feel that it's now, even it's in 43. And really important was that the base, it was based on the music book, but also it was based on the real story. And during the process of creating the costumes and creating the script, we found out that there is a lot of original pictures of the family, which are in Auschwitz Museum. So it was based for us, like what we wanted to create and what we want to achieve. Like we want to create something which is as much as close to the reality and to the truth. It's just the first. And we had a lot of discussions with production designer, with DOP, Casual as well, about how it's gonna look like. And finally, I just realized that it will be like, I don't want to say that Big Brother in the Nazi house, but there was like there was the, let's say, idea, that we are just observing the people, and it would be hyper realistic. And I saw it, in the light, because there was no light. There was no like a fake light. There was like a natural light. And I saw this in the cameras, in the optic that they were using, and they saw this also in Jonathan Glazer way of treating the actors and working with the actors, that he really wanted to see normal people not people, not actors who are playing, but the normal people who are living in this house. And it was, I felt it in all of the stages of my work, when I was creating the costumes, when we were on the shooting, because there was no typical shooting place. It was just we prepared one villa. And for example, in this part with the Hess family, we were shooting in the villa, which was prepared for the shooting, but there was no team, there was no cameras. Cameras were hidden. The focus pullers were in the basement, so it was not typical set.
And I read also like an article of the actress Sandra Huller, and she said she had never accepted a Nazi part before because she always found that those productions are usually very glamorized. And I believe you mentioned hyper-realism, and I think it's something that you really all dedicated great efforts to, like no glamorization, authenticity, kind of rawness. So I guess also this really illustrates in your costume work in the movie, right?
Yes, at every stage of my work, I wanted to emphasize the characters' ordinaries. I just approach each of them without any special embellishment. So for me, they were just normal people, and the picture that we know from most of the movies that I saw are now when we see the Nazi people and the soldiers, they are better than the normal people. They are like better dressed. They behave better, and we feel that okay, so they are really stronger than we are. And what Jonathan's want to show that there are normal people, and normal people can be good, can be wrong, can be demons and the devils, and can be the angels at the same point. So it was really important for us, to all of the movie team, to create and to make those people look like normal people, to show for the audience that okay, it could be me or it could be my neighbor, and he was not a special guy. I mean, she was not a special woman.
And something I was also thinking preparing the interview is that, so as I said in the beginning, we never see the prisoners because we never go on the other side of the wall, but we hear them. The sound work on the film is amazing. And we see some of their clothes because the main character played by Sandra Huller, so she keeps some of the clothes for herself. There's a very strong scene in the beginning of the film where she gets a mink coat and she tries it on, watches herself in the mirror. And also she gets clothes from the prisoners and she gives them to her household staff to share. Those are some of the most striking images, at least for me, from the movie. And I was wondering how you chose those specific garments, which kind of embody the people that we'll never see in the film.
I mean, it was also work between my team and the production designer team. And for example, with the fur, I mean, it was the symbol of all of the furs, and it was the symbol of all of the clothes that was grabbed from the prisoners. So we had the conversation with Jonathan Glazer, the director. First of my first imagination was that the fur should be shorter, maybe black, maybe not so beautiful and glamorous. And then she said, no, it should be this fur. It should be like a big, beautiful. It should be the symbol of all the clothes and the things which belong to the prisoners. So that's why in this movie there's a lot of small words or in the small things. It's a big meaning. So it was this. And you mentioned that there is no prisoners. For example, we have one scene in the streets, and we don't see the prisoners, but in fact there's like a dozen of prisoners that we dressed as a prisoners with boots and with the stripe costumes, and they were till knees in the water because they were in the water. Let's say so. We never saw them, but we felt them. And Jonathan said, "No, even we don't see them. They should be dressed as a prisoners."
Thank you for sharing. So it's amazing to see. It just adds up to the level of detail and yes, the quality of the work. It's amazing also to know that you also dress those prisoners that we don't see on screen. But yeah, thank you for sharing. So I see you have other projects coming up, and I saw one that was, for me, especially exciting. It's called Treasure, and it's going to be out soon. I saw in June, and it has an amazing cast. So Lena Dunham, the director of Girls, and Stephen Fry. And I saw it tells the story of an American journalist. She's called Rose. She travels to Poland with her father Edek to visit his childhood place. But Edek is a Holocaust survivor, resists reliving his trauma and sabotages, and the trip creates unintentionally funny situations. It seems amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about this experience?
Oh yes, I got the proposition, or the first conversation with Julia von Heinz, the director, was really like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was the moment when I was preparing the zone of interest. So in one scene, the main character Ruth, played by Lena Dunham, she's reading the biography of Rudolf Hess, of the commandant of the Auschwitz, from the zone of interest. So then I thought, oh, how it's possible, that this person or this topic is following me, and somehow I treated this project as a trilogy, because I did also the movie about the kids who survived the Holocaust, the Gross-Rosen camp. So it was, the first movie was about the kids, then it was in the camp about the Rudolf Hess, and then I had the possibility to work with the survivor from Holocaust, but there is still so I didn't know if I should do, what I should think about my career, why I am following this subject so much. But I really like the script, and I think that this is the movie. I don't know, I mean, what do you think about this movie? Because I like that the survivor, this is not the typical drama. It's not the movie, that puts you, that you are sad or you are unhappy or and you don't feel comfortable, for example, in Zone of Interest. I really loved the relationship and how it was written between the Ruth and Edek. And so it was quite interesting as well to jump once again in beginning of the 90s in Poland and to see, this from different perspective. And it was really great fun, especially with Lena and Steven. And we were shooting in Germany. And for example, we were shooting some locations which should be in Poland, in Germany. So then I thought, okay, how coincidence, why we are just doing this opposite.
And again, the story is set on the 90s. So was it were you again lucky in the sense that there's a lot of vintage clothes and also modern clothes inspired by the 90s right now? Was it helpful for you?
I mean, in this case, it's really nice because we have in Poland few rental houses which offer really great clothes and costumes from 80s and 90s. And I was thinking, because in the script, the Poland is really sad and maybe, not so modern country, there was no needs to make it to look better than it was. Even it was more to show the contrast between Lena and Edek, and they were thinking than existed in Poland. So that's why I used a lot of costumes which I found only in Poland. I didn't search nothing anywhere else. So I was just trying to find them in the rental houses, in the second hands. I have also my own collection in my small place, let's say. So some of the costumes were done, for Lena. For example, in the Zone of Interest, most of the costumes were made from scratch. Most of the costumes were designed because I couldn't find them in rental houses. In this case, it was much, much, much easier. And somehow, we like in Poland this period. We just, we love to to dig inside this period. We have lots of this sad costumes, which reminds us, the really, really sad moment in Poland. So it was quite funny. And also, I love this movie because movie has a lot of comedy aspects. So that's why also the costumes were, it was just great fun, like to do the costumes for the really important movie about the really important topic and with beautiful relationship between father and daughter. But as well, I love this comedy aspect. So let's see what you're gonna think.
I can't wait to see it. You mentioned sketching. Is it in your creative approach preparing the characters' wardrobes? Do you always go through the phase of sketching? Do you also do mood boards? Does it depend on the project?
Yeah, it always depend on the project. I mean, sometimes I do the sketches, sometimes just in are the mood boards. Yeah, it's more like So it's depend on. And also it depends on the director and maybe, the relationship and imaginary.
And you mentioned you had your own little stock, like collection of costumes. I'm always curious about this. I know some of the costume designer I interviewed also have one. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Like how big is it in terms of number of pieces? Do you have specific areas that you're focused in? And also, were you able to keep some of the costumes after some productions?
Oh, I would love to have the biggest space, but somehow I think that then sometimes I can be trapped in my space. So it's not the big space; it's more like a bigger basement. But with the pieces that I really like, I cannot, go somewhere. And when I see something interesting, it's just, it can broke my heart when I see that. Okay, somebody, especially when we are talking about pieces from 80s or 90s. Which were done with better fabric that they are now. So I am more focused on finding the pieces which are in the good quality and from the good fabrics. Because I see how it looks now, the industry and how many clothes are producing. I mean, how the big companies are producing the clothes and they are in bad conditions and fabrics are not in such a great quality. So in this case, when I see the clothes, the costume or some kind of thing which is made from the good fabric, or I can use it somehow and it's specific and beautiful, I try to buy it and I'm keeping for the special moments.
And touching upon fashion, you were also a stylist?
I started as a stylist when I was younger. So I did few sessions, photo shootings. But then I thought that there's something that I don't like. I love psychological aspect of the costume. I like to see how costume moves. And so then I thought, okay, so it's not my goal in my career. Like I didn't like it. I just, and then I saw that I really like the longest process of creating, and the photo sessions are smallest and dedicated just to fashion, and I just felt that I wanted to go into the movie. But I had this episode in my life.
And to wrap up the interview, I have a few questions about more your taste in costume design in general. So the first question is there any movie, TV series costume that you really like and that inspire you, that you especially cherish?
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, because the first movie, or maybe the most significant movie for me was the Queen Margot, the La Reine Margot by Patrice Chéreau. And when I was young, I saw this movie, and there was something happened that I decided, okay, I mean, this is the thing that I love. I love the costumes from historical costume, from, Renaissance, for Baroque. So so this is the thing, and this is the costume that I love the most. And I think that this is the movie that has a really big impact on me when I was young. And still, I think that the costumes and the movie is beautiful and great.
Great. Any other title that comes to your mind, or focusing on La Reine Margot?
So, for example, there was like the Favorite by Lantimos, which also use the costume, the historical costume, but in the way that I love. So this is the example of how to recreate something or how to create something in this really specific aesthetic idea. But in general, I don't have the specific titles. I just like sometimes I like the movies where I don't see the costumes as at all, and they are really important. Like somehow I like French movies, and I love the French way of showing the characters.
And is there any specific costume that you designed yourself and especially like?
There is one movie that I did, Dolce Fine Giornata, by Polish director Jacek Borcuch, and we were shooting in Italy. And the story is about the Maria Linde, who won the Nobel Prize, and she's an artist. I mean, she's writing the novels. And she was played by really well-known Polish actress, Mrs. Janda, and she's really well-known, and she's playing in theaters, and she's really experienced. And it was really hard to find her costumes a little bit because she played so many roles, and she's so characteristic. So together with the makeup artist, we changed her hairstyle. So this was the first thing. And then by the accident, or maybe not by the accident, I found her the coat, just under coat, vintage one, who was in the same color of the palette of the walls on the small city that she was lived in. And somehow it was this costume combined for me, the her as an immigrant living in Italy, and somehow she as a person who has the style. So in fact, I like this modern costume the most, and I'm really proud of it. And yeah, so it's Maria Linde costume, Maria Linde coat by Jill Sander, vintage in Dolce Fine Giornata.
And what do you like most about your job as a costume designer?
It will be much easier to answer what I love and hate, because I mean most of the costumes or the people who are impassioned to their job loves and hates the same things at the same point. For example, I love the process of working, of creating, but sometimes, of course, I hate it because to doubt all the time yourself, it's good or not. The pressure, which sometimes I love because I love the deadlines. Otherwise, I would never did it, the things till the end. I love it, and sometimes I hate it. But in general, I love, this opportunity to explore the topics. I love to work with creative people. And when I had a small crisis, this job crisis, work crisis, middle age crisis, or whatever. And I was thinking, okay, what I am doing in my work, in my life, I am not saving the world. I am not saving the people's life. And then I met my teacher from my high school, and he said, okay, but you are doing something for people, like to feel better, maybe to make them smile, or you create something that can help. You can a little bit save the soul of the people who don't know what to do with the time a little bit. So then I started to think that I love that I just create something and I can show something to other people with my knowledge. And yeah, but in general, I also like, this psychological aspects of the character, that you can dig into somebody's head and to create something unique.
And is there any specific kind of project you'd like to work on, and why?
So, maybe it's just a child dream and to be a princess. So maybe I would like to do a movie, from, this Baroque and Renaissance. Because I just did the commercial with the costumes like that, but never did the La Reine Margot. So maybe it would be so beautiful to at least once touch, this kind of costumes.
Thank you, Malgorzata, for sharing your experience, inspiration, and love for investigation and details. If you liked this episode, follow Profession Costumière for more episodes exploring costume design. You can also subscribe to Profession Costumière on Instagram and Substack, and leave 5 stars and a comment on your favorite listening platform. Until next time!